Chapter 1, The Human Heart is Hell. World. No intention to kill. No way. People are killing each other in heaven and earth. Nature. No intention of cruelty. No way. Just letting out desires between people. Human contact, communication, life, etc. Form societies, nations, groups, etc. Among people, there is only cruelty, selfishness, evil, impurity, competing interests, mutual conflicts, mutual struggles, mutual persecutions, mutual killings, etc. Nature is still nature, but humans are no longer humans. Abhi-hell, Buddhism refers to the deepest hell, where the souls of those who have committed serious crimes suffer after death. Nirvana Sutra. A's word is non-existent. Nose's word is between. It is timeless. It is spaceless. And it is a realm of receiving immeasurable karma and retribution. So Abhi-hell is also called infinite hell. Those who fall into the eternal hell are all extremely evil people. They commit extremely serious crimes and are sent to the eternal hell. In the infinite hell, there is never any hope of liberation, and there is absolutely no other feeling except suffering. Moreover, the suffering is endless, the whole body is endless, the time is endless, and the actions are endless. You will experience painful torture, infinite despair, and infinite pain forever and ever. Legend has it that when humans kill each other, are ruthless to each other, brutalize each other, and trample on each other, there are too many people who have committed serious crimes. When hell can't fit in, at that time, Abhi-hell will descend to the human world and treat the human world as hell. That is just a legend, and legends are often not untrustworthy, but now this legend is corroding the human soul like the deep fear in people's hearts because they have committed a serious crime. On the edge of the cliff, the wind is gentle, the sun is gentle, and the human mood is of course gentle. Master, do you think the legend is true? The childish and clear voice sounded like a boy's. The childish face has never experienced wind and frost, never experienced pain. And the clear eyes are like the lake where you can see the bottom at a glance. That is innocence. That is innocence. That is the most beautiful time for people, childhood. No matter whether the legend is true or not, a desolate and somewhat sad voice said, "We are already in hell." What is hell? The childish voice trembled solemnly, as if the word hell itself is a word that can make people fear. Let the boy's heart gather. The human heart is hell. The old voice trembled, as if the lips on the old face were also trembling, and the heart of the old body was also trembling, as if everything was trembling. The surrounding air was trembling, time was trembling, and the space was also trembling. The human world is trembling. The young man looked into the distance with clear eyes. The best he could see was a cloudless and clear sky. It was a peaceful and peaceful sky. There was no hell there, but only the warmth that made people happy. The young man turned to look at his master, frowned slightly, and repeated, "The human heart is hell." Yes, the human heart is hell. The old voice seemed to be very excited and said, "Where there are people, there will be fighting, killing, coercion, desire, mutual spears, and mutual shields. If you kill me, I will kill you. If your spear is sharper, you can better satisfy your desires. Hope, if your shield is stronger, you can better protect your own desires. People are living in the persecution of each other, living selfishly, and there will be a difference between strong and weak wherever there are people." The young man doesn't understand, not at all, because he doesn't understand hell, but he understands happiness. Everything is so beautiful, everything in front of him and everything around him. Why should there be hell? Could it be that hell was created by humans themselves? Abhi, translated as intermittent, means pain without interruption. The young man asked slowly, "Master, why am I called Abhi? Am I a hell?" It seems that the young man in the past did not know what Abhi meant and thought it was just a name, but now he no longer thinks so. That's not a name, it's a hell. Suddenly, the old voice suddenly changed direction. The old voice had a pair of hands without any wrinkles. These hands were now holding Abi's soft and immature shoulders. The voice became a little sharper and shouted wildly, "There is only one law in this world, that it's the law of the strong. Keep making yourself stronger until all the people in this world combined are no match for you. Only then will you understand the meaning of Abi. Only then will you understand the meaning of hell. You have to be strong enough to make everyone despair. You have to be strong enough to scare everyone." The breeze accompanied by the warm sunshine blew over Abi's white and red face, revealing a trace of fear. The trace of fear in his eyes was not fear because of the pale voice, but fear because of the words in the old voice. "It's so powerful that all the people in this world combined are no match for me. What kind of terrifying power is that?" Abi couldn't imagine it because it was Abi, and he couldn't imagine the terrifying power he could achieve, or what kind of powerful power it was impossible to have at all. Terrible power. That power is terror. Abi, I don't know whether it exists or not, but that kind of power is indeed a power that scares Abi. It's scary to think about it. I can do it. It would be nice if I don't have contact with anyone. It's just the two of us together, living a stable life in a deserted place, just like now. Isn't it great? The young face suddenly showed a smile again, as if he didn't have to go to such a dangerous place where there are people. You're escaping from all this. To escape, you cannot get inner relief. You will always be guilty in your heart. The heavy sins weigh you down, and you can't breathe. The voice changed from sharp and wild to a bit sad and angry. It seemed that it was not talking about Abi now, but the sadness of the old man himself. You are escaping when you talk about others. Aren't you escaping? This was a really sharp voice, like a woman's roar. It came into Abi's ears and the old ears. Abi watched the instant change in the expression on his master's face, as if a disgusting insect had suddenly entered his master's mouth, and there was also a hint of hatred in it. Abi turned his upper body and looked at himself. Not far away, there was a person standing, a woman in white clothes, and beside the woman stood 4 people, 4 men in black clothes, all of whom looked young. The hands on the shoulders trembled obviously. The tremors forced Abi to look at his master. After calming down, Abi's master released Abi's shoulders, and his expression returned to normal, and he looked at the 5 people who came. "I escaped, so what? Weren't you guys also found me?" Abi's master stood up from the edge of the cliff and walked slowly towards the 5 people. Standing among the 5 people, a man in black on the far side said, "Stop talking nonsense. Hand over the sword technique and spare your life." "What? Now all 5 of you can open the 5 meridians at the same time?" A loud and wild smile came from the mouth of Abi's master and said coldly, "I don't think so. If you can open the 5 meridians at the same time, why bother talking nonsense with me here? Just kill me, and you can get the sword art you want. But since you can't open the 5 meridians at the same time, why do you come to me? Are you looking for death?" "No," a cold and sharp voice came from the throat of the only woman shouting. "But we can defeat you. It's just that we are unwilling to do it. Don't be delusional. As long as you can't open the 5 meridians at the same time, it's impossible to defeat me." Abi's master smiled coldly, a cruel smile. "If you can open the 5 meridians at the same time, the sword technique is not so important to you. You have to find me." Suddenly the air began to fluctuate slightly, and the bodies of the 5 people standing opposite were suddenly covered in different colors. The woman's body was cyan, and the sides were red, then yellow, white, and black. The power contained in each different color is a huge and increasing power. The power of each color beyond one color is not the power of superposition. Abi was sitting on the cliff, her legs hanging in the air suddenly tightened, and her expression suddenly froze. It was one of horror and curiosity. The sudden scene was surprising to Abi because Abi seemed to have never seen anyone except his master. Moreover, his master had never told him anything about the sword art and the simultaneous opening of the 5 meridians. There was a sense of novelty and worry in Abi's eyes. The thing in front of him might not be a good thing. Abi's master frowned slightly and looked at the changes in the 5 bodies across from him. He seemed to have thought of something, but he also seemed to feel that that kind of thing was impossible. However, there are things that are not necessarily impossible, and there are things between the possible and the impossible. The changes of the 5 people have not stopped. The color that originally covered the bodies of the 5 people disappeared, but a color body with the shape of a person appeared in front of the 5 people, as if it were a living person. 5 human bodies of different colors slowly merge with each other and flow around each other, like a transparent colored person, a colored person with a complete energy body. It is beautiful, but also very dangerous. This process is not very fast, but it is not very slow either. The bodies of 5 colors merge into one body, but the 5 colors are flowing, merging, and dying in one body. The 5 bodies of different colors that suddenly merged together emitted terrifying energy. The terrifying energy was 5 times that of the individual bodies just now. The terrifying energy has made the surrounding air become a little thin, and people's bodies can't help but become nervous. Of course, except Abi. The other 5 people present and Abi's master are not nervous because they are stronger. Abi's master suddenly became a little bit embarrassed and shouted, "You can actually think of this trick. It seems that you have really worked hard on me." Then he said, "Let's see who is more powerful, the 5 of you together or me alone." After saying this, I saw Abi's master. His body instantly burst out with powerful power, and 5 colors suddenly appeared outside the body, covering the entire body like an air mask. The air currents of the 5 colors seemed to come from 5 snakes wandering in the water. People live to fight against destiny. Chapter 2, Forgetting the Existence of Time. The bright sunshine makes the strong colors become somewhat transparent, making people in the colors look transparent, but the huge power contained in the colors is still scary. 5 people, 5 colors, are ascending, and Master Abi is one, although the power of the 5 colors on his body is weaker than that of the other 5 people. However, Master Abi's 5 colors are actually merging, dissolving, and flowing with each other. Gradually, the 5 colors seem to be converging into one color. This is an illusion caused by the fast flow of colors to the human eye. The 2 sudden forces caused the surrounding air to tighten suddenly. The air seemed to be sucked away in an instant. Abi showed a painful expression. His face had turned pale. Breathing was a little difficult. There was sweat on his forehead, and his whole body could no longer move. Let's see, who among us can continue to survive in this hellish world? Abi's master suddenly moved, and his body seemed to disappear in front of Abi's eyes in an instant. Abi's eyes were instantly stung by the fierce and brilliant light, as if the sun was exploding in front of his eyes. He closed his eyes tightly, and his eyes were filled with white and blood red. It seemed like another world. A world of blood appeared in front of him. There was nothing in that world but blood, and maybe there was an invisible door, the door to hell. Abi reluctantly opened his eyes. Abi did not see the blood-like world, but in the world in front of him, he did see blood. Blood was on the corners of the mouths of the 5 people. Their faces were a little haggard, and they could tell they were injured at a glance. Abi looked at his master. There was no blood on the corners of his mouth, but the master's body was bleeding. The bright red blood had soaked through the clothes on his chest like a blooming rose. The thorns on the path of the rose stung Abi's eyes. Abi's surprised and sluggish expression suddenly turned sad, as if there was a force in his body that made Abi quickly run to his master and shouted, "Master, how are you?" "It's okay. Just step aside and watch me kill these 5 people." The master stared at the young man with his eyes tightly and said, "I only used this move once. You must remember it." Abi looked at the master's movements without any surprise in his eyes, because the young master's movements had evolved thousands of times in front of the young man. The young man could not be said to be exactly the same as his master. But if Abi is used, it will definitely be exactly the same as his master, and no one will be able to tell the difference. But Abi's eyes were still looking closely at his master's move. That move was very simple, so simple that Abi couldn't believe it at all, because that move was a sword stabbing move that couldn't be made in one simple movement. But no one would deny the power of this sword, the precision of this sword. This sword seriously injured the 5 people who were slightly injured just now, and now blood is slowly flowing out from the chests of the 5 people. Let's go, Abi's master said coldly. You are no match for me, and I won't tell you the secret of the sword technique. Abi already knew that his master had won. Although he did not win so elegantly, he still won in the end. If he wins, he must eradicate the roots. This is what Abi's master told Abi. Master, kill them all, so as not to cause trouble in the future. Abi's expression was very indifferent, and there was nothing unnatural about it, as if he didn't know the circumstances of killing and how bad it was to kill. It is such a cruel thing to deprive others of their lives, but for Abi, that kind of nature is as natural as eating. I can't kill them, just like they can't kill me, Master said slowly. If I don't hand over the sword technique, even if the person lying on the ground is me, they won't kill me. But it's them who are lying on the ground now, and I can't kill them because my lover is in their hands. My lover? Who is my lover? Abi's expression changed slightly, as if he didn't know what his master was talking about, but looking at his master's expression with a hint of pain, he seemed to understand something, but he still didn't understand. Are you worthy of talking about love? The woman in white sitting on the ground said in a cold tone. A person like you who escapes from everything, can you also talk about love? The lover you abandoned has been hiding here for more than 10 years, and you are worthy of love. Do you know how much your lover has suffered in these 10 years? You don't know. You keep saying how much you love her, but it's all nonsense. You don't love her at all. Before the woman could finish her words, she was interrupted by Abi's master, who shouted, What do you know? You don't understand at all. You don't know anything at all. I don't understand. I don't understand, the woman said with a cold sneer on her face. I don't understand. I don't understand that a man abandons his beloved woman for more than 10 years and still talks about loving her. I don't understand. If you dare not face it, you are a coward. You are not worthy of being loved at all. You are not worthy of being loved by her. Deeply loved. This sentence does not seem to be talking about her, but the woman herself, as if this sentence expresses all the pain in the woman's heart. Abi, standing aside, listened to the 2 people talking and imagined how things would develop like this. The 5 people in front of him had known their master before, and they should have a good relationship. Ever since his master had a sword technique, these 5 people had been thinking about it, but his master could not give it to them. 5 people arrested their master's so-called lover. In this case, if his master faced him, he would definitely be handed over the sword technique, so he simply didn't face him and ran away. If you can't find me, you won't kill the one I love. If you get the sword art, you won't kill the one I love. So the 2 sides are in a stalemate, and the stalemate lasts for more than 10 years. Although Abi thinks so, there are still many places that are not smooth at all, so things are not what Abi thinks. Escape may not be an option, but you still have to face it, and now seems to be the time to face it. Abi, looking at his master's expression, he became paler and more haggard, as if he had suddenly become much older. Suddenly, Abi looked at his master's expression, and his expression changed drastically in an instant. The sudden change was a change of fear, as if something extremely terrible was about to happen. Abi only felt that a figure flickered in front of him, and his body moved passively. Of course, Abi did not move by himself, but his master held his body and flew forward quickly. Abi opened his eyes and felt a sting, as if a needle had stuck in his eyes. He instinctively closed his eyes and felt a sting on his face. This was because his master's speed was too fast and Abi's skin could not bear the impact. Abi felt as if the skin on his face had been cut open by knives. Countless knives cut his face into bloody pieces. Abi was very painful, but it was too late to hurt. His master stopped in an instant. Abi opened his eyes and looked at his anxious master, a little dazed, because Abi had never seen his master live like this before. Go to the heavenly empire to find your father, Yun Tsangtian. After saying this, Abi's master handed the ring that had been worn on his hand to Abi's hand and said, "The ring has been wiped out by me. You only need the first drop of blood to open the contents, and all your questions will be answered." After saying this, Abi's master immediately threw Abi into the running water in front, and the rushing water took Abi's body away in an instant. Abi was struggling in the water. Everything happened too fast, and the last scene in Abi's eyes was his master being beaten to the ground by a man in black and then caught. Abi's body began to feel cold, his face turned pale, and Abi's body began to tremble. Abi had been drifting in the fast and cold water for more than an hour, but it seemed that the water continued to float without end. Abi, although he can swim, Abi's body is weak in the flowing water and can only be carried to where it should be by the current, like a broken tree. A huge sound came from the front, as if it was coming from the rapid running water, knocking down rocks. It was transmitted to Abi's body through the flowing water, causing Abi's body to feel instinctive fear and tremble continuously. Suddenly, Abi closed his eyes. He felt as if his body was flying, but the flying body was falling rapidly. The feeling of weightlessness made Abi's heart start to tremble. His whole body seemed to be empty suddenly. Only his heart was suspended in the middle of the waterfall, enduring the wash of the waterfall day and night. Human pain lies in not forgetting. The existence of time is not to let people know the time, but to let people know that the past cannot be forgotten. Cut off the water with a knife, and the water will flow more. Raising a cup to pour out the sorrow will make it even more sorrowful. The flow of time is like a waterfall. No matter how powerful the waterfall is, it cannot wash away the pain that time has left in people's hearts. The sun is gentle, the sun is warm, and the sky is blue. The sky has no color. It is only because of the color of the sea that the sky is blue. Because the color of the sea is blue, Abi felt the warmth of the sun. Abi slowly opened his eyes. The boundless blue and the boundless sky seemed to be connected together, and he was deep in this connection. When I am happy, I look at the blue sky. When I was in pain, I also looked at the blue sky. The vast sky and the vast sea made Abi feel so shocking and beautiful. People live to fight against fate. Chapter 3, Blue Dream, I'm here for you. Blue sea, blue sky, and cool breeze are the places that countless people yearn for. The blue sea surface is as soft as silk, with gentle ripples stretching as far as the eye can see. But now Abi really doesn't yearn for it, and wants to escape quickly, leave the embrace of the sea, and leave everything cold. Love, if there is no place in this world where all the coldness can be abandoned. Then just follow me. When it's cold, we can hug each other. Abi was covered in cold. His body was frozen stiff by the cold seawater. His face was cold and pale, and his pale hands were holding Brokenwood tightly. Fortunately, there was sunshine, which shone warmly on Abi's face. The instant warmth was matched by the endless coldness of the sea, which numbed Abi's soul. Abi, with some painful eyes, confused eyes that don't know where he is, looking at the vast sea around him. Abi doesn't know where he is, but what Abi knows is that no matter where he is, there is no way out. Pain is an escape. Escape is a kind of self-protection. Pain is not a good thing, but escape is a good thing for people. But this is a good thing because something bad happened. So running away is still a bad thing. The pain made Abi faint, at a loss, confused and helpless. The helplessness, and struggle made Abi really hurt, as if he was in a dream. It was not a painful nightmare, but a painful hallucination. When Abi woke up, he was lying on the bed. The soft bed and warm air seemed like he was dreaming, but Abi knew that this was not a dream, because what caught Abi's eyes was a kind of beauty. There is a kind of encounter, as if countless past lives have destined the encounter in this life. At this moment, it is the reunion of eyes and eyes, the dependence of heart, and the warmth and fragrance deep in the soul, the merging of soul with soul, the same destiny with fate. In this life, I come for you, and you dance alone for me. Smiling eyes, sunken into the eye sockets, long eyelashes like hazy mist, revealing pure aura, high nose, lips as pink as flowers. That is a kind of beauty. That is a kind of beauty that can only be seen in Abby's dream. However, the most beautiful thing is the blue hair that reaches her waist. Each hair seems to be independent, and together they look like a waterfall in the bright sunshine, taking away all the energy of the sun. At least in Abai's eyes, she thought it was a kind of beauty. As long as she could remember, Abai had been staying with her master again. That is to say, except for her master. Abai has never met anyone before, and he doesn't even know what a woman looks like. However, Abai's master also told Abai what a woman looks like. But why do the woman he sees in front of him and the woman his master talks about look different? Master Abi and Abi talked about what the outside world was like. They talked about it so much that Abi couldn't even remember it. What Abi remembers is that women are all beautiful, and beauty always hurts others. But now Abi feels that this kind of beauty will not hurt others, but will also make her feel happy and pain-free. Abai, I thought that the master had made it all up. Once upon a time, Abai thought that there were only two people in the world, myself and the master. Seeing that the facts are not what you think, the outside world is the most exciting. You're awake. The soft tone, with warm tenderness, seemed like sunshine shining on Abai's face, like spring breeze blowing in Abai's dry heart. Ah, Abi let out a painful cry and then fainted again. 2 days have passed, and all the injuries on Abai's body have healed. In fact, Abai is not injured. It's just fatigue, psychological injuries, and the injuries of losing all the tranquility and beautiful moments. Abi, lying on the beach, wearing the ring given to her by her master on her finger, suddenly lost the only person who accompanied her, which made Abi's heart feel empty, and now her master was still suffering, which made Abi's heart condense a little. The ring was very ordinary, just a silver ring. Abi dropped a drop of blood and opened the ring. There were not many things in the ring. There were 2 books, a sword, and a letter. The letter was left to Abi by Master Abi. Through this letter, Abi knew that he was not an orphan, but a child with a father and a mother. Moreover, his father is still a very famous person. He can be said to be a powerful person, the general of the Tianri Empire, Yun Sangtian. The letter did not tell Abai why he would follow his master instead of his father. He just told himself to go find him. The letter was very long, but most of the handwriting had not been crossed out. It seemed that there were a lot of things that I originally wanted to say but decided not to say, so they were crossed out. I just told Abai that I had a father. The other 2 books are Sword Ju. There is another way of thinking. Abi held these 2 books in his hands and felt a little wasted for a moment. His master had never told him about cultivation, which made Abi a little confused. Suddenly, Abi felt that he was buried in the sand. Abi's body reacted instinctively and suddenly jumped up from the beach, jumping and dancing around, getting rid of all the sand that got into his mouth and in his clothes. Ha! A happy smile came from the mouth of a big boy standing next to Abi with a very happy expression. The boy's body was strong and dark. If the boy hadn't been dark, he would have been a very handsome boy.